Hi all. In this video, let's learn about how to build a simple React component. So assume that we need a component something like this. So this is like a similarly a card type component where we need to have a simple div or a card like this. And in the center of this card, we want to showcase the title or a component name or any of the product name. And, uh, and we want to have a color background color to this component. Okay, assume that this is a div and we need to have a title and a background color. So this is a simple component. What steps we need to follow while we are creating a React component? So first step is you need to create a component like this. So don't try to make this a dynamic at the initial stage. Try to achieve this component as it is. You want a component something like this with a title at the center and the background color. Okay, try to achieve that first as a static component. Once you are able to do that, okay, try to pass the properties like title and the color should be dynamic. Okay, if you want to reuse any of the component should not be in a static mode, it should be in a dynamic mode. It means you need to pass the title and the color dynamically as a property so that you can reuse that component multiple times like this. And only you'll be passing the color, which color should be the background color, what should be the title, so that you'll be passing. So in that way you can build and you can reuse that component multiple times. So let's see that with an example. So this is a React project built on a create React app default project. So I'm removing this part. Okay, so let me create a components folder. So I will create a folder called components with a smaller case. So I'm creating a folder called components. Inside this, I will just create the first step. What I said is we need to create a component like this first. As it can be a static as well. Fine. So let me create a static component like that. So for now, I'm naming this as a color card. Okay, color card.js. Okay, I will write a color code component where function color code. I will be exporting this component so that I can use that in the app component. Okay. Now what I need to do, I need to return some JSX in order to make this as a component. So initially I will have a div. So let me have a div here. So I will have a div, and inside this div, what I need to, I will make one h2 tag. So where we can showcase the title of the component. Okay, this is what we need to have. Yeah. Fine. This is a simple one, a div. So we need to style something, right? Initially, if you keep something like this, you'll get nothing. You will get a div with the title, just the title text. We need to style something. So that's the reason. Let me take one more file, color card dot css. I'm using external style here. So let me use this as a color box as a class name. So I'm writing some styles to this div. Okay, and I will use this color box as a div here. I will make this as a class name. So let me use this here. And now I'm styling the div. So how the div should be. So let me take the width as 300 pixel first. Okay. And next color. So the text color, I'm making this as a white so that whatever the background color, it will be visible. So now I'm making the padding as 40 pixel and margin. So whenever you use the same component multiple times, if you are trying to reuse, you need to have this margin so that there will be some space between one component to the other component. And also I will be using the display inline block. Okay, fine. So these are some of the properties I'm using for the div. Now this is the title. So let's assume that what we get, okay, when you pass something like this, what you get as a static, what we get, we'll see. So also I'm giving an inline style in order to give the background color to this div. Okay, let me give this as a background color. I'm giving this as a background color. So any of the color, I will try to pass any of the color. So let's see this as a black for now. Okay, I'm giving this as a black. So now I have created some component. Okay, and now I don't want to make this as a dynamic initially because the first aim is I need to build the as it is the component. So that's the reason I'm directly passing this as a background as a color as a black and the title, okay, a static way. So let's see how it looks. in order to use this, okay, first thing I need to import this CSS. We wrote some CSS, but if you import, then only that CSS would be applicable here. So now I'm using the CSS here. That's the reason I'm imported here. In the app.js, I will use this component. So let me import this first. So I have imported it. So let me use this card component. Yep. So I have used this card component. Let's see how it looks. So yes, exactly we could able to achieve. So we have a card component and the title at the center. Find it. So this is what we are trying to achieve. So initially, first step is whatever the component. Of course, here I am showing a simple component, but whatever the component in the real world you are doing, try to make that in a static way and try to achieve the design first. That's your first goal. Second goal is like when you need to allow your component. So your component, this is your component. You need to make this component dynamic. It means you need to it needs to receive some properties. The one who is using this component are responsible to send the properties to this component so that they can reuse this component again and again. So that's the reason what I'm doing is I'm destructuring the properties. So that's the reason I have used this flower basis. I'm assuming that whoever is using this component, they should send these two properties so that I will replace those things, those properties directly inside this component like this. So here also directly instead of mentioning the color directly like this, I will use a color variable. So whoever is using this component, they will pass these two properties and those properties would be replaced here. Okay, this is the way you need to use the reusability. So this component now is ready to reuse multiple times with the different props sent. Okay. So in this way, we made this component as a dynamic. So let's create one more component in order to make use of this component multiple times. So let me create one more component. I will name that as a color card container. Okay. So let me create one more component here. I will create it as a color container dot js. Fine. So let me create a component color container. Okay, let me export it. So now I will use this color container component as a main component. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to reuse the main component, right? So for that, what I need to do, I need to import the color card component. So let me import the color card component. So I could able to import that color card component. So now next what I need to do, so I need to have some data, okay, in order to loop through this component. So how I can loop through this component, I should have a return and I need to loop through this component multiple times. Now I'm using this component. I want to reuse this multiple times. So in that case, I need to have an array of data where that array needs to contain of title and the color. So usually in general, what you'll have, you need to do some API call to get the values, okay, values of the colors or values of any of the values. So if that is an API call, you need to use effect and you need to keep the data in this, okay. But here we are going with a static thing. We are assuming that we have an array and then in this array, I'm using an objects with the title. Okay, this title can be like color one. I'm just giving the color one and the color is the one more property. So let me take this as a black. So now what we have is we are taking an array of objects. And what we are doing is, let me copy this multiple times and paste it. So let me copy once. So I'm doing this multiple times. So let me remove this. I'm giving one more color. So here instead of direct colors like this, you can use hexa colors as well. Here directly you can use hexa colors as well in our example. So let me use red or yellow or something. Fine. Now we have a set of data. Okay, like array of objects we have. Okay, usually you can get this data from by doing an API call in the use effect and keep that data directly. But here we are just using a variable as a static. So now what we need to do, how we are going to reuse the data, reuse this component. So I'm copying this data. So I'm looping through this component, looping through this data dot map. So we are looping through this component and what we are doing. So color in this color object, what we'll have in this color object, in each and every thing, this color object will be available in this color thing. So now what we'll be doing inside this, we are going to reuse, we are going to render the component once again. Okay, so let me do that. So here what I will do, give me a second. I think yep, I have deleted this part. Okay, now let me use the color component. So we are looping through these values. So we are looping through this array of values and we are rendering this color component. And what we can send the title as a color dot title, because color is an object which will be holding this color object. So that's the reason I'm sending this as color dot title. And also what else it needs? It needs color. Okay, color is also a property. So there I'm going to send it as a color dot color. So color is an object first. Okay, in that color dot color. So that's the reason I'm sending this like this. So this is how you can reuse the component. Even if it is a simple component or a complex component, once you have a set of data, this is how you're going to loop through this map components one after the other. So fine. So now let's see how it looks. So let me go back to the browser. So okay. So yes, we are not able to see this component because we have used the color component here, but now we need to import the color container component, right? So this is what we need to use in order to see the output. So I'm using this here. Okay. And now if you go back, see, we could able to generate the color component. In this color container component, what we are doing in this color container component, just we are using the color card component, reusing this. By having this data, we are iterating through this color component multiple times. So this is how you can reuse the components. The beauty of React.js is it is component based application, component based architecture. So whatever you see in the application, so everything would be decoupled in a smaller components. So this is how you need to think in terms of building a component and reusing that component. Hope you understand the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.